Welcome to the Gospel Road. St. Patrick's Day weekend. I know we've got a parade today, which is Saturday, even though St. Patrick's Day is tomorrow. Do you have big plans for the weekend? Also, going into spring break, which a lot of people making their way out and about to things to do. I've got friends, in fact, a couple of my friends making their way to Colorado for the week. So that should be a lot of fun for them. I haven't been there forever. I need to go over there. I got family there. But we're going to look at Proverbs 17 today. All right. It says, "Better is a dry morsel with quiet than a house full of feasting with strife. A servant who deals wisely will rule over a son who acts shamefully and will share the inheritance as one of the brothers. The crucible is for silver and the furnace is for gold, and the Lord tests hearts. An evildoer listens to wicked lips, and a liar gives ear to mischievous tongue. Whoever mocks the poor insults his maker. Who is glad at calamity will not go unpunished. Grandchildren are the crown of the aged, and the glory of the children is their fathers. Fine speech is not becoming to a fool, still less is false speech to a prince. A bribe is like magic, stone in the eyes of the one who gives it. Wherever he turns, he prospers. Whoever covers an offense seeks love, but he who repents a matter separates close friends. A rebuke goes deeper into a man of understanding than 100 blows into a fool. An evil man seeks only rebellion, and a cruel messenger will be sent against him. Let a man meet a she-bear robbed of her cubs, rather than the fool of a fool in his folly. If anyone returns evil for good, evil will not depart from his house. The beginning of strife is like letting out water, so quit before the quarrel breaks out. He who justifies the wicked and he who condemns the righteous are both alike an abomination to the Lord. Why should a fool have money in his hand to buy wisdom when he has no sense? A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. One who lacks sense gives a pledge and puts up security in the presence of his neighbors. Whoever loves transgression loves strife. He who makes his door high seeks destruction. A crooked heart does not discover good, and one with a dishonest tongue falls into calamity. He who sires a fool gets himself sorrow, and the father of the fool has no joy. A joyful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. The wicked accepts a bribe in secret to pervert the ways of justice. The discerning sets his face toward wisdom, but the eyes of a fool are on the ends of the earth. A foolish son is a grief to his father, and bitterness to her who bore him. To impose a fine on a righteous man is not good, nor to strike the noble for their uprightness. Whoever restrains his words has knowledge, and he who has a cool spirit is a man of understanding. Even a fool who keeps silent is considered wise, but he who closes his lips, he is deemed intelligent." Proverbs 17. A lot of keeping quiet. A lot of better to be at peace than be in the middle of a battle, whatever that be. Very interesting when you look through a lot of these things. I mean, a friend loves at all times. Am I loving at all times? Am I loving my friends, my family? A joyful heart is good medicine. Am I joyful every day? Am I sharing that joy? Again, I could always, like I've been saying for the last few weeks, I mean, I could go through Proverbs. Each one could be its own separate learning piece as I'm trying to apply that on how I'm going to help people be the best that they can be. Again, it's that joy, and it's taking that joy and sharing it with others and building them up. I love 22 where it says, a joyful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit drives up the bones. How many times have I sat there and what have I done that I could have crushed someone's spirit because of something that made them happy that they wanted to do, and I pretty much said that's not going to happen. I can tell you it's happened to me plenty of times. Plenty of times. And again, I've been very honest with you of how I do not have the biggest faith in what I do, and I've got a lot of people around me right now that give me a lot of praise, which is something I'm not used to, and telling me how well I do my job, how well I do when I am on the air or when I do different things. And honestly, it's something I'm not used to hearing over the years. It's a very different season, a very different time in my life right now. And I'll be honest, I'm not always the best to accept compliments, but again, this is what people are doing to me. This is how they're feeding into my life, even though I've been trying to feed into others over the years to do the best that I can to help them be the best that I can be. I do not know everything, but what I do know I try to share to help others so they can really grow and succeed with what their plans. And I always have ideas, and I even tell myself that sometimes I wish I could quit having them because it's like they take up my mind a lot more and give me more frustration than actually help me to grow. In fact, getting ready with a friend of mine, we're putting together a trivia show. It's going to be a blog and a podcast, and been talking about it for years. And we're finally going to get the trigger pulled on that here in the next couple months. In fact, a couple different ones, and going to do it all local. But again, it'll be a weekly podcast that we'll produce and record in front of a live studio audience, which should be fun. I know I've been talking to people about it for a long time, and they're just excited. They're ecstatic. They think it'll be a blast. And for me, not just building up others to really help them be the best, I also like doing things that will bring others together. Like when I host trivia, when I am able to bring people together in a place to where they can fellowship, have conversation, spend time with friends and family. Because again, that's something that I truly think is the best thing that we can do, that I can do to help others really make that better step as they are growing in their lives, as they're making their way up to succeed. And again, when I'm looking at success, I'm not just talking about professionally. I'm not just talking about your job. I'm talking about your personal life. I'm talking about with your family, with your friends. It was interesting because I've had a conversation this past week talking about what you would do for someone, and not really how well you even knew them or not, but what would you do for them? Would you protect them? If somebody was coming against them, would you stand up for them to say, no, back off? I kind of share everything out of the Bible and some scriptures and apply that to just look at the moral pieces and how we can just take that to apply it to our lives just to see what it really is. I grew up in church and how, it's all been 100% spiritual and beating me over the head and feeling like I was nothing when I walked out of service because no matter what, I could never be it. And you know what? I never deserved to go to heaven. I don't know if I've even talked about this on here, but this is something I've shared with some friends that I'm telling you, when I was 18 and I graduated, grew up in church, and I felt like I was a big pile of poo. Honestly, I did. Because I figured that no matter what, everybody else was going to have that chance to go to heaven. I wasn't. I could go out there and I could be the Bible beater knocking everybody over the head with that 2x4 Bible. Yeah, I was a jerk. But no matter how many people would go, it wasn't something that I could have. That's honestly how I felt, and I felt that way for years. It wasn't until a handful, I'd say a dozen years ago, 10 to 12 years, that finally changed for me, and I understood that there was a difference. I mean, I figured no matter what I did, I would never succeed. And when it was all said and done, at the end of my life, I was going to hell. There was no change for that. That's exactly how I felt. And that's how I was treated to feel growing up. Because why? Support system. When we're trying to make our steps up, especially through our teenage years, trying to find out what our plan is, what we're going to do, and where we're going to go. What's my plan? Am I going to join the military? Am I going to go to college? What's my occupation going to be? What is the dream that I'm going to live? When I'm trying to figure that out, there really was no one there to help me. Which is why I think this is so important, because we need to realize, and that then not just through those formative years, but even as an adult, to really get that praise, to really be there to build up others, to help them be the best that they can be. Again, it doesn't matter what I believe. It does not matter what you believe. What matters is we are there to take care of one another. Because again, we're individuals and we have to make our own choices. We have to do that. I'm responsible for my choices. You are responsible for your choices. But at the same time, if I'm going to be a good friend, if I'm going to be a good human being, if I'm going to be a good coworker, it's also my responsibility to help you be the best that you can be. And I will honestly think that it's also your responsibility to be the best that you can be, that you can help others do the same. So what I am feeding and sharing and doing for others, that are doing that for other people. I know we all get into this busy part of life and we kind of forget that. And sometimes I don't even know that we forget it. It's like, I wonder if were we ever shown that? Were we ever taught that? Were we ever challenged to do that? When you are finding things to build yourself, to be better, find those books. Find the leadership books. Find the motivational books, the self-help books. I've read many, Robert Kiyosaki and John Maxwell, and then I just did the Dale Carnegie. I did the 7 Highly Effective with Stephen Covey. There are so many great books out there, and they're great tools to really bring an understanding, to figure out how it is to help and treat one another. The Bible is a great one too. There's a lot of great stories and allegories here to read that, to be able to apply and go, wow, how am I